Good morning and welcome to Crack the Mic podcast with Agent of Change Corey Davis. And this week's segment is entitled The Culture. According to many sociologists, culture is defined as a symbol, language, beliefs, values, and artifacts that are part of any society. And as this definition suggests, there are two basic components of a culture: ideals and symbols on the one hand, artifacts being the material objects on the other. The first type, called non-material culture, is known as a symbolic culture, includes values, beliefs, symbols, and language that defines a society. Meanwhile, material culture includes all society's physical objects such as tools, technologies, clothing, eating utensils, etc. And to help me further this discussion, I have a special guest live in the studio with me, Mr. Brandon Vega, an author, community activist, and president of his own non-for-profit the Eaton Project. It's an organization that focuses on satisfying the hunger for success and positivity through enlightenment. Good morning and welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. I'm so grateful to be here.
Okay. All right, so let's just delve in this conversation, Mr. Vega, if we may. And it's been said by Oscar Wilde that life imitates art far more than art imitates life. But the problem with this is this. Then in life will find will find its very existence from the arts. And suffice it to say, the issue with that is this. For example, many people in society today believes that being self-made is a badge of honor because most reality superstars like Nene Leakes, and I'm not just calling her out, but I know her from Atlanta. She's a great person. But just other folks who like to kind of just come up with these cultural phenomenons that I like to call that is kind of putting us back. For example, if you look at this whole ideal, Brandon, a lot of folks come in and say, hey, I'm self-made. And we know it takes a community. It takes a community. No person has ever reached a level of success on their own without the support of their communities. And let me just ask you this here first question, if I may. What are some negative influences or cultural phenomenons that have affected our culture, and what can be done, in your view, to correct those? Because Brandon, a lot of young guys just they believe in this idiocracy that hey, listen, I'd rather trap, I'd rather sling dope, I'd rather be the plug, but I've never met a successful drug dealer, for the sake of this discussion, who's ever collected a 401k or who has had any type of retirement package. So your thoughts on that question, Brandon?
Man, that's very loaded, and just being able to pick up on the last part you said where, you don't know any street guy that, has a 401k or a retirement fund. The retirement fund is either prison or, the graveyard.
I echo that sentiment.
That's where you retire to. And, when you talk about culture and you talk about self-made and all of these different things that, we speak on, our culture is everything, the way we influence the world and the way, the power we have and just, convincing everybody to be like us,
Absolutely.
the self-made piece, you know, you would like to think you made yourself, you know, but again, like you said, you know, nobody can get where they trying to go on their own. You know, the car need gas. You know what I'm
I like
saying?
that. That's
The car
powerful.
the car can't go
Right.
anywhere without any gas. It
Absolutely.
needs tires.
Absolutely.
You know, you need
Absolutely.
headlights, you need
Absolutely.
windshield wipers, you need all of those different things. So
Hmm.
everything needs something. You
That's
know what
right.
I'm saying? And for myself, you know, I got somebody in here that's special to me.
Hmm.
You know, as I know him is, you know, Mr. Charles, but
Hmm.
C-Man. You
Hmm.
know, he's somebody that has influenced my life a lot. You know, since I've been knowing him, and you know, for me, growing up around certain individuals, you know, although maybe at the time they may not been making the right choices and decisions,
Hmm.
um, they inspired and influenced me because I was always intrigued and in awe, you know, with guys who just didn't care and they was going to do whatever they needed to do to get what they was trying to get.
Wow.
Um,
Hmm.
and to me, that means something, you know, and that's why we developed Eaton.
Hmm.
You know, Eaton is the acronym for exist above the noise. And existing above the
Mm.
noise is not getting distracted or deterred from your goals
Hmm.
in life. And
Hmm.
Eaton derived from my environment. You know, I am a product of my environment. Had it not been for the environment and the peers that have influenced me,
Absolutely.
Brandon
Absolutely.
Vega is not who he is. You know, this book doesn't come together if,
Hmm.
you know, we don't reflect on the past and those who have, you know, been a part of my life because I'm every
Absolutely.
bit of what I am because of everybody that has had a touch on my life, you know, and
Hmm.
I give everybody that credit at the end of the book with all those that I could possibly remember, you know,
Hmm.
for sure that has influenced me. I wanted to give them that honor because,
Absolutely.
you know, in our community, a lot of
Hmm.
us are not reading. And,
Hmm.
you know, I thought it would also be a trick to, like, you know, put people's name in the book so they could read it. So again,
Smart move.
everything I'm
Hmm.
looking to do is just to empower,
Hmm.
encourage, and you know, influence the
Hmm.
culture. I want young black and brown boys and girls to
Hmm.
understand that, you know, anything is possible, and I want the
Absolutely.
world to know that, you know, it should be all love. You get what I'm saying? Because
Hmm.
you know, sometimes unfortunately, due to misunderstandings, you know, people are scared to have certain conversations. So
That's true.
Brandon
That's true.
Vega, you know, he worked his way up. You know,
Hmm.
the roads that grew through the concrete as he got a
Wow.
chance to watch the Seamans and
Hmm.
the Pootie Riches and the all those people that, you know,
Well,
have
you're taking me back
again
with that one.
who have right
Hmm.
really you know, motivated me.
Hmm.
You know, I worked hard to make conscious decisions
Hmm.
to not
Hmm.
get entangled with statistics.
Wow. Wow.
Uh,
Powerful.
you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
A lot of us, we go to jail or we get killed, and I didn't never want to do none of that. Although
Hmm.
those guys again impacted my life greatly, and I wanted to be just like them. I wanted to find a clever way to make it, because like you said,
Absolutely.
we're not going to make it in the streets. There's no way possible. You know, your shine might be, you
Absolutely.
know, for a good second,
Hmm.
but in the grand scheme of it, you know, you really didn't do anything.
That's true.
So man, like I said, I hope, you know, everything I just covered, you know, kind of touches on, you know, the loaded question that you gave, because that was a very great question. And
Hmm.
again, like I said, I'm a product of my environment. Eating comes from the environment, because I always wondered, how do we, you know,
Hmm.
survive and make it on
Hmm.
a high level without
Hmm.
compromising our freedom and jeopardizing our lives.
Absolutely.
You know, we don't have to sell drugs and
Hmm.
do all the miscellaneous things we have to do. You know, unfortunately, some of us
Hmm.
don't believe in ourselves, and
Hmm.
eating is, you know, here to try to instill in people that, you know, if
Hmm.
Brandon Vega could, you
Hmm.
know, think his way out the matrix, you know, everybody
Absolutely.
can, because I never saw myself as intelligent. I never thought I was going to
Mm.
college. I never thought
Wow.
I could write a book. I never
Wow.
thought, you know, I could do any of the things that I'm doing. I'm a
Hmm.
much better writer than I ever was a basketball player. And that's only because of my
Hmm.
imagination. You talk
Right.
about
Right.
how um, art imitates life, or I don't know how you said it.
Yeah. Art imitates life,
Right,
and life art imitates art.
right. So
Hmm.
I say that in my book,
Hmm.
you know, at the end of it,
Hmm.
like, you know, my life was reflected in the art,
Hmm.
because it's through the art you tell the best stories.
Absolutely.
Sometimes when you're trying to
Absolutely.
convey a message, verbally, you know, folks may not understand. Everybody that has ears, sometimes may not be able to digest what they're being given.
That's right.
And if you
That's
can
right.
look at something, right, like when we see a picture is worth a million words.
Absolutely.
All of us are
Absolutely.
going to think totally different about what we're seeing. When you look at the cover of my book, you see a little boy on the doorstep of a rough-looking environment. It's like, and you question, why would he be reading a book in a crime-infested neighborhood where it could possibly be a drive-by at any moment, or
Right. Right.
What's going on in the house where the door slightly cracked wide open? What's in the house? How does he get in the house?
Absolutely.
All those type of things, man. I want to send messages in creative ways where through the pictures in the book, I want you to look at them and really think about
Right,
it. When you look
right.
at the cover of my book, I want you to wonder why certain things the way that they are. Because again, I think people are enlightened a lot more, through what they can see.
The visual effect. And we're going to talk more in detail about this great book. And it's a very great book, by the way. But I want to go ahead and go to the second question, because in addition to in addition to its intrinsic value, culture provides important social and economic benefits with improved learning and health, increased tolerance, and opportunities to come together with others. Overall well-being for both the individual and the community. So I want to ask you this second question to you. Why is the culture or why is culture so important to you?
Culture capital.
Right.
As we know capital to be, money, which it is, and we all trying to get rich. Culture is very rich, especially when you know what you are, who you are, and where you come from. When you're a part of something that's great, it should make you feel special.
Absolutely.
When you think about the entertainers we have, the athletes we have, all these different things that, sometimes get placed on the pedestal over other things, we have to acknowledge that, that's part of our culture and what we gifted at.
Right.
So that's why we excel in those fields very, very easily. You don't,
Right.
On every Optimist Park, in Miami-Dade County, is probably 5 or 10 NFL players on that field.
Wow. That's true.
You know what I'm saying? But when you go in these classrooms in these schools, it's going to be probably more than 10 kids that can't read.
Wow. Powerful.
So enhancing the culture, at least on my part, like, I want to leave the world better than the way that I found it. So
Absolutely. I echo that
I want
sentiment.
people to be able to, like, see through this book, like, man, I could do this too.
Right,
I could be a master thinker. That's one thing my late great friend used to always say. He used to tell me to be a master thinker.
Right.
And it's just trying to outthink, the universe. It's not going to happen, but if you set your goals on something high, iron sharpens iron.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
for me, when we talk about culture, I've been influenced by our culture, hip hop music, sports, science, street, all of that stuff.
A plethora.
It's all
absolutely.
that. And you gotta have
Absolutely.
you gotta have an arsenal.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
very, very
Absolutely.
dangerous in the jungle.
Absolutely.
And your arsenal don't have to be a firearm. Your arsenal is the way that you think, the way that you move, the way that you operate, the way you treat people.
Right,
all of those
right.
different things. When you have an array of different ways you can hit people. Nobody never knows how to really come at you. So for me, like I said, man, just taking all of these skills that I've learned and just taking it to another level with additionally adding education, that's a very, very dangerous combination.
Right,
So culture, again, is very, very important, and everybody should know, what they are, who they are, and where they come from.
Very powerful. Okay, we're going to go ahead and take a commercial break. We definitely want to come back and talk about this great book, Ghetto Conscious. The Evolution of a Rebel. We got Mr. Brandon Vega live in the studio with me. We'll come right back.
Me and old Hal have been together for a long time. Recently, I realized that I could use some help with basic everyday tasks, but Hal depends on me, and I'm not going to leave him. I don't have to. Yes, that was good news, wasn't it, Hal?
Immaculate Home Health Care can give you the help you need so you can stay safely and comfortably at home from a few hours a day to round the clock. Call today for your consultation. 561-372-9108. 561-372-9108. Online at ImmaculateHHC.com.
All right. Well, we want to thank our sponsors, but let's get back to this conversation. We got the author, and by the way, this is his book, The Ghetto Conscious, The Evolution of a Rebel. It's a very good read. And let me just ask you, though, what was the motivation behind that book?
The culture.
Okay.
The culture. I wanted to add something, man. Instead of complaining about, books not being relatable, I mean, there's a lot of great, authors that's come before me. So
Right.
I don't mean that in no way that, I did anything, new. However, I know I did something a little bit differently.
Right.
And, like I said, my peers inspired me. The guys who I grew up around who, for me, I feel the sadness when, I see guys, don't have education, man. It's very sad to me.
Right.
And that's a part of my ghetto conscious. I have a conscience and a pulse for the culture, for the community, because I really care. Okay. And, sometimes with the foolishness that takes place, you ask yourself, why do you care?
Powerful. Powerful.
But I care immensely, and I want to help change the mindsets of how people are thinking, the trajectory of how we are thinking about ourselves and the way that we live in.
Absolutely.
Because we can be saved. We can be saved. In my next book, Ghetto Conscious, Dancing with the Shadow, the last chapter is liberation.
Wow. Wow.
And again, that's not by design. That just, it comes through me. And I'm just the instrument. So also my son, Messiah, motivated this. I started writing it, 2 weeks before he was born. I started thinking about, putting this thing together. And 2 years later, it hatched.
Wow.
And this book has opened more doors for me than I could have ever imagined. I work at St. Thomas University because of this book.
Right.
We talk about, community and relationships and people not being able to be self-made. All the things that I've accomplished is because of others.
Absolutely.
I played basketball for a very long time. I was fortunate enough to get an opportunity to play Division I basketball and earn a scholarship. I played point guard. I understand the importance of the assists. The point guard is judged off of his wins and his assists.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
And it's not about how well you can score. It's very dangerous when you can score, but you're going to pass the ball.
Wow.
And
powerful.
writing this book is just to assist others in saying, hey, man, this guy, has experienced this and he's going through that and he's made it through. He's persevered. And, I don't speak on this as if I lived in the gutter and the projects and all of that. My ghetto conscious is just being aware of my brothers and sisters and the people I went to school with and, seeing their shortcomings and understanding that, we come from low socioeconomic backgrounds and we make fun of each other, not understanding that we all poor. So it's really crazy, people, free lunch used to be amazing. But people will give you a hard time because you was on free lunch, but we all on free lunch.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So everything I'm trying to do with, not trying, we ain't trying. Everything I'm doing, looking to do with this book is again to change the game. And like I started with, we're not reading because we can't read. We're not reading because we don't have anything that's interesting. And I wanted to be as relatable and as real as possible in this storytelling to wake people up and open their mind up. So all of those things that I mentioned were monumental in the inspiration behind Ghetto Conscious Evolution of a Rebel.
Right. right. And it's very powerful. And one of the things I like, honestly, Brandon, your candor. You're very straightforward. You're transparent about struggles. You didn't hide it. And I think most people, when they talk about success, because you are successful, and like you said, you have a book, and you're working at the St. Thomas University, and you're also traveling. You're traveling around the country, inspiring people, students, kids, families. So you're very successful. But one of the things I like about you, Mr. Vega, is the fact that you're very transparent. Even in your book, you talk about, I believe it was in chapter 8, you talk about the home to home. You want to just maybe share some of those personal, or share one of those personal stories, and how that, I guess, that time in your life, and how you were able to, just like the expression, bounce back like round ball. Your resiliency soared in the face of adversity. Just share with our listeners that, because you talk about it in the book.
Yeah. Before you become conscious of things, you go through the struggle as a kid, and you just don't understand what's taking place around you. And very early, I was blessed with the ability to be able to discern how I was being treated. My spidey senses was always tingling. I was very observant. I was very inquisitive. And reflecting again on my past within this book, I just wanted to make sure I covered every base, because this was therapeutic.
Right.
I tried therapy for a little bit, and it was successful, but then I also told myself, like, you can help yourself out. And it's nothing better than helping yourself. We thankful for the support, and all of that from others, but it's nothing like getting yourself out of it, because we get ourselves in it.
Absolutely.
So reflecting on some of the stories in the book that I wanted to share, I tried to reflect on the things that will resonate much deeply with everybody, where at some point they could say, you know what, I could understand that, where I'm vulnerable to talk about my parents' divorce. I talk about elementary school, and how I was very into school, but then it was like, oh, you're a teacher's pet, you this, you that, and then you seeing like nobody in your community is very intelligent, and because your light's shining bright, somebody will knock your lights out.
Wow.
So then when in Rome, you do as the Romans do.
Absolutely.
You play dumb. And you play dumb to survive. And I've survived, and I made it to this point. So now Brandon Vega isn't afraid of anything, because he survived the neighborhood. And I also understand that the neighborhood don't understand what's going on within or around it. So because I've inherited this knowledge and information that I continue to go after and seek, it is my duty to go back into the cave. The Allegory of the Cave by Plato, Book 7. Check it out.
Powerful.
Talks about, the slave gets pulled out of the cave to face the sunlight, but the slave has been in the darkness for so long that he can't stand, the light. But he gets stuck out there, and as he get to see, the knowledge and information that he's receiving. He understands that the people in the cave, they lost because they don't know nothing other than darkness.
Wow.
So it's equivalent to when you make it out, they tell us don't come back because you'll get killed in your own community. But that's because, the people in the darkness don't understand. So we must, shine light on our environment, and let people know, man, we much more than the things we participate in. It's 13 or 14% of us in this country, but we make up, a great amount, percentage-wise incarcerated. That don't make sense to me. A lot of guys over 18 are probably not reading on the third grade level. And the things that we intake, is foolery. So again, just being transparent, like you said, like, hey, I ain't no tough guy. I ain't no street guy. I never wanted no parts of that. I stayed on the sidewalk, but the last time I checked, the sidewalk was concrete like the street. So with everything that I've gotten, you know, I ain't gonna let nobody disrespect me or anything like that, but we're way above that, and we're not looking for conflict. You know, we looking for resolutions, and we looking for solutions. So that was imperative in writing this book.
Amen. Amen. That's definitely. And we got just a little bit time, and I want to just kind of ask you this here last and final question. What is the Ghetto Conscious, and how does that assist the black culture with its advancement in the world?
Ghetto Conscious. Ghetto is the acronym for gentlemen helping everyone thrive through obstacles.
Okay, powerful.
Gentlemen helping everyone thrive through obstacles is the acronym for Ghetto. Again, my job and my duty is to spin this thing around to a positive, and we will advance the culture.
That's powerful.
You know, even if I don't get to, you know, see it in the long run, you know, we plant the seed now. My brother C-Man talk about the peanut syndrome and how, you know, we bury ourselves and we plant downwards instead of trying to rise above the ground. Right. Too many of us are being planted in the ground and never coming back. So everything that I'm looking to do is, again, to change the mindset. You know, we're existing above the noise. The pledge for existing above the noise is I will discover my purpose in life. In order to fulfill my purpose, I will embrace all pressure and challenges along the journey. I will achieve the goals I set out to accomplish. I will take the good with the bad, understanding that nothing in life comes easy. And I will never lose sight of the bigger picture despite the obstacles thrown my way. I will exist above the noise. How can I starve if I'm always eating? So, again, it's the call to action that you got to ask yourself. You know, I tell myself all the time, I can't starve if I'm always eating. I may not have any money or be where I want to be, but if I continue to exist above the noise and keep walking the walk instead of talking, there's a lot of people that be talking, but they ain't walking. You know, like I said, although we participated on the sidewalk, we concrete. So I believe in myself. I believe in what I'm doing. I believe in everybody that believe in me, and I'm grateful for all the love and support.
Absolutely. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time for this segment, The Culture, and I'm blessed to be graced by the presence of this great author, Mr. Brandon Vega. And again, his book is The Ghetto Conscious, The Evolution of a Rebel. Listen, this book is going viral. I don't know if you know that, just being on this podcast. So just tell our listeners real quick how they can get that book, and you're definitely going to see a spike in sales.
Yes, sir. And again, Mr. Davis, thank you greatly for giving me the opportunity to be on this platform. You
Absolutely.
know, everything works in mysterious ways, and you just so happen to be in the classroom that I spoke at KIP Academy. So thank you again for noticing me. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And you could get Ghetto Conscious, Evolution of a Rebel on www.brandonvega.org. www.brandonvega.org. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at _Vega Brandon. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you.
Okay. All right. And I want to remind my listeners to like and share this video and this YouTube channel. But before we go, Mr. Brandon, I want to leave our listeners with this here quote by Marcus Garvey. And it says, "A people without knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots." Again, this is your Agent of Change signing off with Crack the Mic. Peace.
At Immaculate Home Healthcare, we recognize the important role home plays in healthcare, which is why we are dedicated to helping you and your loved ones heal at home. Together, we work with you, your physician, and family to help make the transition from hospital or facility care to home care a smooth one. Our team of highly skilled health professionals includes nurses, therapists, aides, and medical social workers that have been chosen for their compassion and commitment to care. They undergo rigorous background checks to ensure that only the most dependable and trustworthy staff serve you. People turn to our home health care for help with services like post-surgical care, wound care, chronic disease management, diabetes, pain management, and hypertension. Home health care costs less than hospital or facility care, and Medicare pays 100% for qualified patients. At Immaculate Home Health Care, we provide quality medical care in the comfort of home. Call us today at 561-372-9108 to discuss qualifications and payment options, or visit us online at www.immaculateHHC.com. We'll be happy to help.